Stormwatch 12 weather on News Watch 12.
Well, it was another hot day in southern Oregon and northern California throughout the day, even though we still had smoke through a good chunk of the region. But the high temperatures today were pretty much into the 50s and 60s. 57 was the high temperature in Brookings. We did make it to 94 degrees in Medford. Not much difference in Grants Pass and Montague, give or take a degree for both locations. But 80s east of the Cascades, 87 degrees out in Lakeview. Now, the big story really is the air quality alert that we have for Curry and Josephine counties. This has been in effect throughout the day today. It's set to expire at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Now, don't be surprised if this is pushed out and to cover Jackson County as well. But again, plenty of smoke from plenty of fires in the region. Now, the latest air quality monitor right now, moderate air quality along the Oregon coast. But a good chunk of the region was actually under very unhealthy air earlier in the day. Now, the good news is that it has spread to the east and has dispersed. But that's a problem because now more real estate is covered in unhealthy air, but it's not as severe as it was earlier. But in terms of Medford and Ashton right now, unhealthy for sensitive groups. There is an area from Wairika down towards Etna where it is unhealthy at this particular time, but there's a pretty good fine line. Weed, Mount Shasta is actually looking pretty good at this time. Now, east of the Cascades, there's still smoke in the area, but it is moderate air quality out towards Chiloquin, Klamath Falls, and extending out towards the Lakeview. Actually A-okay at this time. Now, we did have some thunderstorms in western Siskiyou County earlier this afternoon. They did provide a little bit of some rain moving from south to north, but once the sun went down, that activity really started to die off. That is a little bit of a disturbance down to our south. We'll have the same kind of scenario for tomorrow. There is a weak cold front from all of this clouds that is pushing from the west towards the east. There's a couple more behind it, kind of hard to see, but that's going to be the big change coming up in terms of our temperatures. It's also going to affect our smoke, but in terms of our smoke for tomorrow, we'll have a little bit of a break in the afternoon, but then we're going to see the same kind of scenario that we saw earlier today. More thick smoke up and down I-5. Eventually that'll push east of the Cascades once we get towards Monday. Now, Monday, we're going to start seeing a pretty good northwesterly flow, which is going to help reduce some of the smoke in the area, and we could see that for Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, once we get later into Wednesday and into Thursday, interesting scenario is going to set up. We're going to have an area of low pressure way off to our east. That's going to blow some smoke from Canada into the region once we go to Thursday and into Friday. So we're going to get a little bit of a break from the smoke, but unfortunately, it's not going to last all that long. Now, for our stormcast for tomorrow, again, another chance of isolated showers and thunderstorms up and down I-5 and east of the Cascades as well, but we're not going to see a whole lot. Not everyone's going to see that activity. For Monday, we'll see clouds on the increase, blowing on through, so pretty much morning clouds, afternoon sun for both Monday and into Tuesday. So that's the one thing that we're going to be able to see. Now, we're going to be looking at temperatures really starting to cool off. If you want cooler weather, I have to be looking towards Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, and that's when things are really going to be pretty nice. And then it's going to get even more interesting as we get towards next week. Current temperature is 70 right now in Grants Pass, 74 in Medford, 61 in Mount Shasta, extending off towards the east, 50s and 60s. So your forecast for the Oregon coast, temperatures into the 60s for the most part. We'll see some hot and smoky conditions, isolated thunderstorms, 80s and 90s down to our south, and 80s as we head east of the Cascades. And the Cascades, again, temperatures pretty much into the 70s and 80s. Rogue Valley, pretty much we're going to be looking at 90 to 95 degrees. Now, in terms of our extended forecast, what we're going to be looking at as temperatures pretty much staying into the 70s for the next several days along the Oregon coast. But what we're going to be looking at is, besides a malfunctioning system, temperatures into the 70s along the Oregon coast. Next chance of rain will be into Saturday. For the Northern California, pretty much 90s for tomorrow, cooling off into the 70s by the end of the week. For the Klamath Basin, we'll go from the 80s for tomorrow to the 60s by Thursday of next week. In the Cascades, 80s to 60s. Again, best chance of rain will be Thursday for most locations. Rogue Valley, 95 to the 70s by Wednesday.